Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the January 11th, 2022 Burrillville School Committee meetings. We have our executive session at 5:30 with the regular public session to start at 6 o'clock. Members present all with the exception of Sean Bozan. And if you could all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now poll the committee. Do I need a motion? Or do I-
first.
Yeah, I'll get it eventually. One day I'll get it. I'll take a motion to go into executive session under Rhode Island General Law 42-46-52 collective bargaining.
So moved.
I have a motion from Sylvia,
Second.
second from Don. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I will individually poll committee members. Terry? Sylvia?
Yes.
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 Jonathan? Jill and
Yes.
Victor. All right, we will now enter executive session.
the rec league stuff before we took the
Everyone ready?
school.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to the January 11th, 2022 Burrillville School Committee meeting. We had an executive session prior to this at 5:30. Now we're in our regular public meeting at 6 o'clock. This is taking place in the Burrillville High School cafeteria, 425 East Avenue, Harrisville, Rhode Island, 02830. Members present, everyone is here this evening, which is great. And then if everyone could join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if I could just ask everyone to remain standing for a moment of silence in memorial of Mrs. Colette Gagnon. Mrs. Gagnon has been a teacher in our district for over 20 years and recently passed away. So just want to do this in her honor, and her family and loved ones are all in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you. I will also add that if any of our virtual attendees would like to participate during the public comment of this evening's meeting, you're able to do so. We just ask that at that point you use the raise hand functionality through Zoom, and then we will make sure you're looped into the meeting. All righty. And I will also, gosh, I'm going to mess this up and we just talked about it. I will entertain a motion to seal the minutes from our executive session.
Make that motion.
Motion from Donison,
I'll second.
second from Sean. Members all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I will also note for the record that no votes were taken during executive session. All righty, moving on to agenda item number 4, recognition. We have none this evening. Agenda item number 5, consent agenda, approval of minutes, warrants and invoices, bids.
I will make a motion that we approve school warrant number 6 for the month of December dated January 11th, 2022. Grand total expenditures of $2,469,022.78. And there are no bids this evening.
About minutes? Okay, we'll do that separately.
Well, we can add that as well. I will approve the minutes of the meeting for December 14th, 2021, the regular meeting.
Ready, I have a great motion from Donison,
Second.
second from Terry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Presentations by the public to the school committee. We have none this evening. So moving on to agenda item number 7, public comment. Like I just mentioned, anyone who's attending the meeting virtually, if you'd like to participate and address the committee, please just use the raise hand functionality via Zoom and we'll make sure you're looped in. Oh. All righty, we have no one this evening. Moving on, agenda item number 8, personnel, leaves of absence, retirements, resignations, appointments.
I guess I'll make a motion to receive and file the appointments as presented.
I have a motion from Donison, a second from Terry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Old business, fiscal year 2022 BSD budget update.
Motion to receive and file.
Motion to receive and file from Donison, second from Terry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fiscal year 2022 rink budget update.
Motion to receive and file.
Motion to receive and file from Donison, second from Sean. Competing for those seconds. Second from Sean, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, agenda item number 10, superintendent's report. I will take a motion to open.
Motion to open.
Motion open from Donison,
Second.
second from Sean, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I will hand it over to Dr. Solito.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Just a couple of things on my report tonight. I want to start with our budget update. So as you know, our draft budget was approved at our December meeting, and we will now move forward with our budgeting process. overall, we're in really good shape for the remainder of this year and looking forward for next year as well. The one caveat is the unknown, which is state aid. So we're still awaiting news on state aid projections and when those will be finalized. I know the General Assembly is just now back in session, so that's going to be a topic for them to take up. Hopefully, with the session resuming, the General Assembly session resuming, there'll be some movement in that area. Next step in our process locally is a joint meeting with the town council to present our budget. That will be held, it's scheduled right now for January 31st at 6 p.m. And then following that, a presentation to the budget board will take place. That's scheduled for February 24th at 6:30 p.m. So we're hoping by January 31st, prior to the joint meeting with the town council, we'll have some good news on state aid projections. And certainly by the 24th of February, we should have a better feel of what that's going to look like. You know, the uncertainty with COVID and the impact that had on enrollment, as well as free and reduced lunch numbers, have really altered the state aid projections. So overall, across the state aid numbers are down about $40 million among all the districts. So our initial state aid projections are lower than we would like, and that's the same for lots of communities across the state. So we're hoping that the General Assembly addresses that. I did reach out earlier last month to Representative Place in Newbury, as well as Senator Dela Cruz, to ask her to advocate for Burrillville and like communities that are going to be hit hard by those current state aid projections. Any questions on the budget update?
Did you get an indication as to what the dollar figure might be out of that 40 million? I'm sure the lion's share is like Providence, I'm guessing.
For
you
us
know.
locally?
Yeah,
It's a
like,
little over $1 million.
would be, huh?
Yeah, the hit we would take right now, if the state aid projections hold exactly as they are, I believe it's 1.1 or 1.2 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's disastrous for us.
And what's it usually?
Well, that's the decrease. We'd be losing 1.2 million, we'll say, from last year's amount, which I think is somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 million, 12.5 million, something like that. Our overall state aid we usually get is, we received last year somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 million.
And I would just say, or I'd add, if anyone can't attend either of those meetings, that's totally fine. Life happens, but just let myself and Dr. Salito know so we can plan.
Do we have a date? January 30th.
January 31st
31st at 6.
for the town council
Is that the
meeting,
Joint town council?
correct? And the budget board is February 24th
At 6:30.
at 6:30 for the budget board, 6 p.m. for the town council.
Do we have a
At
place?
Chambers?
I believe they're both in chambers, town council chambers.
And just one other, if I could, with respect to the decrease, is that again, across the board enrollment based decrease? So statewide, that's why those numbers are going down, because everyone was out, a lot of homeschooling and that kind of thing?
The
Is that-
enrollment issue across the state, pretty much every district is down because of that, because of the impact of COVID. But the free and reduced lunch numbers have also been impacted because the federal government provided not free and reduced, but free lunch and free breakfast to all. So lots of kids who otherwise would apply, lots of families who otherwise would apply, which is how how they figure out the funding formula.
Yeah.
They didn't apply because they didn't have to. And now they've extended it an additional year. So we're really going to have to ask families to fill out free and reduced lunch forms, even though whether they qualify or not, they're going to get free and reduced lunch. Which
When are we gonna know this?
is a good question.
So we're
I
just.
don't know.
We're waiting for the General Assembly to convene and then take this issue up, because they know across the state, this is a major issue. The state aid for school districts across the state is a major issue. I believe in the government, but we'll probably have our first indication is when the governor presents his projected budget,
That's this week, right?
probably this week.
Present his budget.
So that'll determine next steps from the General Assembly once the governor sends his budget out there, and they'll have, they'll go back and forth with their usual process. But there's lots of work to be done for state aid. Okay, next item on my report, I'm recommending the policy subcommittee meets in January to review several policies. So just going through our policy book, notice that 4 or 5 of our policies are well over 15 years old. So that includes our personnel policy, which is P5100, our personnel management policy, which is P5110, administrative vacancies, which is P5111, and our professional development policy, which is P5251. Again, these policies are between 15 and 25 years old, most of them. Only minor revisions are needed, but we really need to align them with current practices and with state regulations. And then moving forward, I would recommend that we meet, the sub-policy committee meet on a regular basis just to review in a rotating basis all of our policies to make sure we're not, dealing with policies that are 15 and 20 years old in the future. So if you look through our policy booklet or our policies that are posted online, many of them have been revised and updated, but we also have a number of them that are outdated. Again, in some cases, we don't even have a need to revise anything in the policy, but we do want to review it and then vote on it again so that it's a more current policy, even if there's no revisions or minor revisions that are needed. So I'll be sending an email out to the policy subcommittee either this week, hopefully this week, if not early next week, with some possible dates for that meeting.
And Jill, just for your own learnings, so the policy subcommittee, who in this case is Donison and Sylvia, they'll review the policies offline with Dr. Salito and a few other team members, and then they'll bring them to the larger committee and we'll vote formally on adopting the iterated versions, just so you know.
Okay, the last item on my report is our COVID update. New guidance, I think as everyone knows, new guidance from the Department of Health was released late last week, Friday. And some major highlights on that should be helpful moving forward. First one is that the quarantine time is cut from, and isolation time is cut from 10 days to 5. So students or staff members that are COVID positive and have to isolate, and that they can be back in as little as 5 days rather than 10. There's also no need for asymptomatic individuals no need for them to quarantine. So guidelines, we kind of went through this with the school nurses. We needed a little bit of time to meet about it and talk about it and how this would impact our current practices. We sent information out to parents as soon as we could once it came in, so they were informed of what was going on. The impact this had on us was we had lots of kids and staff members that were quarantined under the old rules for 10 days. And now after the weekend, they could come back today or yesterday because they were past their 5 days but hadn't hit the 10 days. So with the change in rules that took place immediately, all those folks could come back, all those students could come back. And then we've worked on really putting some charts together and graphs together and information together that walks people through the process. So some of that went out to parents last week, the end of last week, and some of it went out to parents today, or it may have been yesterday. All the days seem to be bleeding together. Was it yesterday? Thank you. So yesterday we sent that out, and we're working on more today. Some flow charts that will be detailed enough for parents can just kind of follow the line and figure out when they can go back to school and when they have to be home. But the rule of thumb basically is that if a student or a staff member is asymptomatic, they can come to school as long as they're properly wearing their mask and they're socially distanced as much as possible during lunch. I mean, I can give you lots more details on that, but it can get really, really intricate. I did prepare some of the information that we have for parents, which I'll provide a copy to school committee for, but thank you to Mrs. Mayu for making this look a lot better than I would have.
I knew it was her.
That's color coded. But we have a flow chart for what to do if it's a close contact out of school, if there's a close contact in school, because the rules are different for out of school contacts and in school contacts. What to do if you're positive, what to do if you are vaccinated or unvaccinated and are a close contact. So lots of information there. A big shout out to our school nurses and our principals who've been working with this for the last 2 years and have kind of rolled with the punches as the changes keep coming out from RIDO. So again, we sent as much information as we could. When we first got it, was sent out to parents. We sent updated information out yesterday to parents, and we're still working on developing some other tools that would hopefully make it a little easier for parents.
It is very confusing.
It
I
could be
know,
very
it's-
confusing.
I have a question on that. So if a child is in the classroom, is sent home because they're sick, they get tested, they're positive. the children, the close contacts, do they have to quarantine if they're asymptomatic?
No.
No, and they don't have to do that anymore?
No.
That's big.
And there's still
That's awesome.
140 kids out at the high school.
What?
It's really, the monitor and stay program is really designed to keep kids in school and keep staff in school. As long as you don't have a symptom, wear your mask and go to school. That's basically the bottom line. So also want to mention with COVID, we're working on a procedure and protocol for testing, primarily for staff members and for student athletes. So we're going to begin weekly testing for all student athletes at the high school. We're considering doing that at the middle school as well. As we know, we had outbreaks in pretty much all of our winter sports teams, and being so closely confined indoors is an issue. So weekly testing will begin for student athletes at the high school level, possibly at the middle school level. And then we're going to extend that testing out to any of our staff members who'd like to take part in that. Right now, it looks like we're going to be able to offer that twice a week after school with rapid testing. So you get the results back in about 15 minutes. And to build on that, we're also looking at the possibility of offering PCR testing on site in the school, be held obviously voluntarily after school for staff members, and rapid tests for symptomatic students that are in class, sent out of class. We're trying to develop that too. So still working on that. I don't have the details for it yet, but it's starting to come together pretty well. So I think by hopefully by the middle of next week or late next week, we should have that up and running.
Do parents have to opt their children in, or can high school students just show up voluntarily? It's their choice.
At the high school level, it's 16 and older do not need a parental permission slip. Younger than 16, they do. But we will send something out before this program is rolled out. We'll send something out to all parents so that they're aware. We certainly want parents to be informed, and we'll encourage even kids that are older, 16 or older, we'll encourage them to have those conversations with their parents as well. But the testing for student athletes will be once a week, mandatory for all teams. We did that last year and it was largely successful.
So all the student athletes right now are being tested every week?
Not yet.
That's what the,
So who's going to be responsible for that?
What do you mean?
Do the
To
testing?
do the testing, we have 3 staff members that have volunteered for it, have been trained. Yeah. And the state is providing the rapid tests. So we picked up 800 rapid tests for the next 2 weeks. And then we'll do
I
it.
think this is going to be rolled out.
I'm hoping it's rolled out by the beginning of next week or the middle of next week. So it looks like we're going to be having Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're going to be having testing here at the high school and at the middle school on Wednesdays. So that's what we're trying to do, but I don't, that's not set in stone quite yet.
So as a student athlete, do they have to be tested or is that a volunteer?
They have to be tested. The only exception would be if they have been COVID positive in the last 90 days.
The last 10 days?
90, last 90
90
days.
days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Oh, okay. So that's
the
why they
virus,
have to-
Yep.
the virus stays with
Because they're still in their natural immunity for the 90 days after they've tested positive. Any other questions? Dr. Slito? Yes.
I know there's been communications on the construction with the bridge, but if you could maybe just speak to that a little bit.
Sure.
So I've got quite a few questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I think as we know, the Mohegan Bridge project as of January 14th, which is Friday, is going to be changed. The traffic pattern will be changed and that bridge will be shut down to all traffic, both north and south on 102. So the detour that's currently in place now will be the detour for all traffic going to and from the middle school. So the bridge will be totally closed. All traffic will be diverted down to the bypass and then out to Route 7. And if you're going to Route 7 that way, if not, you're coming from Route 7, you'd be coming up the other way. So impact to the middle school would be the most significant impact for the school level. But we have very little traffic coming from that direction and very little traffic coming really from that end of Route 2. But all that traffic that is coming that way will be following the detour. They're putting temporary signs up and temporary lights up, and that should all be up and running. I'm sure we've all seen them on 102 this week. But as of the 14th, it's going to officially go into place.
But they're still going to allow from the bypass up to the middle school in the I always get this confused, Norfolk Going by Dallas?
North,
Is
yes.
that's the northbound one?
Yes, so northbound traffic can go right into the middle
Go right to
school,
the middle school.
but the bridge will be
That's as
closed
far as it-
both ways. So
Okay.
that the only difference is that the bridge traffic going south on 102 will not be allowed. You have to go around.
The bridge will be totally closed.
Bridge will be totally closed.
What's the expected completion date? for
Year and a
these
half.
Half completion.
18 months.
18 months. Wow.
Yeah.
And then they'll start the next project.
The other half. The other half of the bridge.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
That was a
You're
good one,
welcome.
Sean.
And that concludes my report.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Sluter.
My family lives on the back.
Alrighty. Moving on, agenda item number 11, administrators reports. I'll take a motion to receive and file,
Okay.
even though
We'll
it
keep
won't
it
be as
simple.
well done as Dottie's.
With a great thank you to everyone. I will add that piece. So a motion to receive and file the administrators reports with great thanks.
Awesome. I have a motion from Donison,
Second.
second from Sean. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agenda item number 12, reports of school committee subcommittees. Anyone have anything to share? John? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Sylvia.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
No, ladies first. Sorry.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was at the Callahan School and the Stair Farm School sick committees. And both of them are working on social emotional activities. And they are also doing school projects. Both of them are doing school projects for such things. And both for the staff and for the students.
And Sylvia, I'm sorry, you said that was Callahan and Steer Farm?
Callahan and Stair Farm.
It's awesome. It's good to hear. John?
So I think a few of these I might have mentioned in our November meeting, but there's some new updates to it for the BHS SIT committee. And this is one of the ones I think I mentioned, but I'm going to mention again that we're looking at the portrait of a graduate to meet NEASC requirements. If possible, this one's really exciting to me because it's a possible schedule to accommodate for work-based learning hours. We're looking to improve and expand programs to increase our district enrollment and keep the kids here instead of going elsewhere. And the SIT committees talked about adding subcommittees for the CTE, school culture and climate, and the vision of a graduate. And we're hoping to have a meeting this month.
That's great. Good update. Anyone have questions for Sylvia or Sean on their update? No? Any other updates? Done?
Just to mention, the BEC meeting has been postponed as well, so that won't take place till February.
As well as the big pack for this.
Yep, feedback as well.
Not a postponement.
Awesome. Anyone else? Alrighty, agenda item 13, correspondence, communications. I have nothing to note. Does anyone else? Alrighty, agenda item number 14, new business, homeschool applications.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the homeschool applications.
I have a motion from Donison to approve the homeschool applications as presented.
Second.
Second from Terry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to vote on the Council 94 contract, which we did discuss this evening previously during executive session.
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the Council 94 contract.
Motion from Donison,
Second.
second from Sylvia, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And big thanks to the teams who worked on that, collaborated on that to get it over the finish line. It
Yeah.
seemed to be a pretty seamless process, so greatly appreciated. Moving on to agenda item 15, committee comments on agenda items. Anyone else have anything else to know?
Well, I can just add one thing. We had, obviously had a couple of meetings where we had a lot of information discussed, as I had brought to your attention, my concerns and so forth. And I have put together a pretty lengthy list of things that I thought might be included in a informed consent document that I'm trying to whittle down a little bit. So they'll probably have something for the committee to look at to see if you have any thoughts on it. So I can share that maybe with one of the weekly,
Sure.
something that and then if you have any comments, or maybe we can do like a subcommittee on that to have further discussions about it if we think we'd like to entertain something like that. But something simple, but I think I felt strongly that we should have some additional verbiage provided to any student, interested in the vaccination program. So.
Great. I would say maybe send that to Dr. Slita
Yes.
first.
Oh,
He
yeah,
can
yeah,
Take a
yeah,
pass
yeah,
at
yeah,
it and then he
Yeah,
can
yeah,
distribute
absolutely.
it more broadly.
Yep, certainly. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? All righty. We have no pending issues. So that brings us to agenda item 17, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Don. Second from Sylvia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
Sylvia.
Thank you.
Thank you.